Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? The Saints did make a free agent addition on Friday. Per his agent at JL Sports, offensive tackle Storm Norton has agreed to a one-year deal with the Saints. I understand this isn't exactly the kind of signing that's going to move the needle and get people really excited, so I'm not going to overreact to something like this, but I do think this is significant for a couple reasons. First, let me tell you about Storm Norton, and then we'll circle back to why I think there is significance here. So he's 28 years old, came into the league back in 2017 as an undrafted free agent, initially with the Detroit Lions, and he's bounced around the league a little bit. Cardinals, Vikings. In 2020, during the first resurgence of the XFL, he was there with the Los Angeles Wildcats, and of course we know what happened with COVID. The XFL went under again. His longest stint was a 3-year stint with the Chargers in LA, and back in 2021, he started the majority of the season at right tackle for the Chargers in 2021, but primarily Storm Norton's role has been as a swing tackle. He's played both right and left tackle. Collegiately played at Toledo, as you mentioned, went undrafted back in 2017. The year in 2021 when he was the primary starter at right tackle for the Chargers, it wasn't great. It's hard to quantify offensive lineman statistics, right? Because there just aren't, there's not like receptions or yards or tackles or anything like that. But your Pro Football Focus graded him low, among one of the worst starting right tackles in the NFL. It was one of the most penalized as well. So not a guy that you're really relying on to be a starting tackle, but that's okay for the Saints because you don't need him to be a starting tackle. You've got starting tackles. You've got James Hurst, and you've got Ryan Ramczyk. So you've got your starting tackles there. And if we're being perfectly honest, throughout his time in New Orleans, when the Saints have needed when they've had an injury, primarily when Teron Armstead was injured, we used to see Andres Pete kick out and play left tackle. But we've also seen at times these swing guys really play significant roles or key roles for the Saints. Maybe most namely among them was Senio Kelmete, who played some left tackle for you and also played guard. And he did so effectively that he got a really nice contract with the Houston Texans when he was a free agent. So we have seen these guys in this role before, the swing role, be effective for New Orleans. And it's something that they utilize, not just in case of injury as a swing guy, but also whenever they go tackle eligible, when they use the extra lineman. Will Clapp did that for his time primarily when he was in New Orleans. He was a reserve interior lineman, but he would be the tackle eligible. So maybe this is a role that Storm Norton could play, or maybe that's a role that Trevor Penning continues to play. But this is why I think it's interesting. When you start to look at two things. First, when you start to look at sort of how a camp battle may play out on the offensive line, the Saints are in a really good spot. Then you go into this season feeling like you know who your starting five are. James Hurst is back. Andres Pete is obviously back after he agreed to come back on a lesser deal. Eric McCoy, Cesar Ruiz, and then Ryan Ramczyk. So you've got your starting five. Now, what you typically do is you have reserve interior lineman, reserve tackle, and then usually an eighth offensive lineman. That could be one of those swing guys. If you were to just spell it out today, you've got the five that I mentioned. Then you've got Trevor Penning, who was last year's first-round pick, who you really hope actually pushes and becomes a starter this year. And incidentally, Penning on the Saints roster is listed as an offensive tackle. And he's the only player listed as an OT, offensive tackle. They've got players listed as OL, and they've got CG, as in center guard. The only player on the Saints roster listed at OT, offensive tackle, is Penning, which tells you they don't see him as a guard. They see him as their left tackle, the eventual successor to Hurst there at left tackle. Maybe it'll be at some point this year, maybe coming out of camp. We'll see. But just file that away. And the reason that's significant is because if Penning ends up winning a job or starting at left tackle, Hurst maybe becomes your backup swing guy, which is why he was brought here. When you had Ramczyk and Armstead, you brought in Hurst as a veteran guy to be that swing tackle if you ended up with an injury. And you did in 2021. But anyway. But you've got your 5, you got Penning 6, you've got Throckmorton, who's been a really good player for you on the interior as that backup. And then Lewis Kidd is also on the roster. So that's your 8. You really don't have a spot for anybody else unless if someone can come in and win a job. And really you'd be looking at Throckmorton and Kidd or possibly Hurst as guys. If Penning could win the starting left tackle job, is Hurst battling for the swing job with a guy like Storm Norton. So it's not to say that Norton has a roster spot locked up. He most certainly does not. But they're bringing in a guy who's got plenty of experience to try to see if he can win a job and certainly push for competition at a spot where the Saints have valued that swing offensive lineman over the years. Keep in mind also, the offensive line is statistically the spot where you have more injuries than any other spot in the NFL. And the Saints in particular, when you look at their starters, Ramczyk was healthy last year, thankfully, but he played 10 games in 2021. He missed a big chunk of the season due to injury. Cesar Ruiz, 3 years in the NFL, 15 games as a rookie, 17 in 2021, and then this past year played in 14 games. He missed 3 due to injury. Eric McCoy, who was very durable early in his career, but the last 2 years he's played in 12 and 13 games each, respectively. So he missed 4 in 2021 and 4 in 2022. Andres Pete has never played a full season during his entire NFL career. So my point is, you can look at your starting 5 and say you feel good about it, even with Penning coming back. But the reality is, even Penning last year, was injured in the last preseason game. It cost him a bulk of his rookie season. So you need depth on that offensive line. Those spots are consequential, whether it be for a series in a game if someone gets injured, or a quarter, or for a full game, or several games. What you do on the offensive line and how you build your depth there matters tremendously. And the Saints have added Storm Norton here as a guy that's presumably going to come in and compete for a job, and it's not going to cost him much. I mean, he's likely a veteran minimum guy. We don't have terms of the deal yet, but we'll see. So Storm Norton, offensive lineman, been in the league since 2017. He's the latest free agent signing for the New Orleans Saints. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.